What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop,
Sam Claiborne,
hey everybody,
and CJ Gibson.
What's up?
We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about the Xbox One SAT edition.
We're
going to talk
Did you make that up?
I didn't make that up.
I saw it trending last night.
Microsoft made that up.
Microsoft naming conventions. Whew.
We got to talk about the Capcom Home Arcade. But first, let's begin with the PlayStation 5. Technical details of which were first revealed this week.
That's right.
In kind of a strange way,
Yeah.
I think. Sony chose to let Mark Cerny, architect of
Lead architect.
PlayStation 4 and of Marble Madness.
Yeah, many great games.
Mainly that first thing, though, is what's relevant here.
And like a bunch of mascot games between those.
Like what?
Well, Knack.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
before that,
Well, that's not a mascot game, is it? I guess it kind of is.
sorta.
I guess they
well,
wanted it to be.
Right.
but before that, he did the Bandicoots and whatnot.
Yeah. He's involved in Sonic 2,
Whoa.
I think somebody's saying. Yeah.
Sonic 2.
Yeah. Somebody's saying just on the back end, he dealt with a lot with Sega in
really
his early ages. Yeah.
Anyway, he gave an interview with Wired where he talked about these tech specs of the PlayStation 5. The reason why I say that's weird is because I just, E3 is coming up. They
Yeah.
could have just had an E3 press conference.
There's no
and-
press conference instead.
My favorite tweet was like, well, I'm not an executive in the video game industry, but if I had a console to announce, I'd hold a press
know.
conference at E3.
I would think it's just sort of a quiet little interview with, a publication it's a well-respected publication, but maybe isn't as popular today as it was 10 years ago.
I
so.
think it was almost an offhand line in the report, but it was like, oh, some developers have had development kits for a while, but a lot more development kits are starting to ship out now. And I think Sony just accepts that, like, look, people are going to start talking about this. So
Yeah,
It's coming.
I guess so.
it's not that different than like BioWare saying like, yep, we are making another Mass Effect. See you in 2 years, right? Like Sony probably was wise to acknowledge, yeah, it exists.
And like I don't like marketing strategy, whatever. Like we'll see what they do, but they still haven't done like what it looks like, what the controller is,
Yeah.
what the price is, what the name is, like things like that. They can roll out at these big moments. So it is funny that they started with like, well, let's have a nerdy discussion about tech specs.
But yeah.
It's gonna have ray tracing.
Exactly. And Mark Cerny, I mean, super
Which is sad because ray
technical
tracing
guy.
was my favorite editor here, and he moved on to Sony.
Yeah.
Gosh. There was immense detail about the lighting effects from the ray tracing. So, but I mean, that's Mark's deal.
So everything we've heard, it sounds like next gen PlayStation 4, meaning they're not like trying to rewrite the book on what a traditional video game console is. Right?
They're not taking out disk drives.
Not taking out disk drives, not creating a streaming console. It's a more powerful PlayStation 4.
They talked about how important having the solid state hard drive inside it is in terms of like read speeds. Like you're not really constrained by GPU technology and stuff like that, but you are constrained by how quickly the console can load the data. And so the marketing speak, we'll see if it's delivered in the final product, is that solid state hard drive with so much faster read speed should allow you to get around game worlds. What was the example from Spider-Man? Like
Spider-Man
They closed like a gap from like
fast traveling
0.8
in Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 Pro took 15 seconds. Using a next gen PlayStation dev kit, it took 0.8 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're supposedly using like proprietary hard drive tech that's even faster than like the solid state drives in people's gaming PCs now.
Yeah.
But you see it in a gaming PC. Like I have in my gaming PC, I have a solid state drive, and that console I called it a console because that's how it acts. Like it doesn't have like a PC boot up like the way you expect. Like it really, really does cut down on load times, boot times, stuff like that.
Yeah.
the backwards compatibility is really telling. It's like it's so funny to see them saying like, oh, your step between system and this is just kind of another step. Like we are not changing.
What do you mean?
So before it used to be that backwards compatibility wasn't really desirable because it was expensive and they said people didn't use it.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, okay, you already bought another system, but you can play your old games on it. Just do that again. You can still play your old games on it. And it's like we're just incrementally moving through consoles now instead of really moving generationally. Like that
Sure.
step between has made it so backwards compatibility is just like accepted and important. And maybe a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5 aren't going to be that different for those games specifically.
Well, I feel like that was a little bit of a challenge between the PlayStation 3 and 4, where there was a bunch of things, I think, from a technology standpoint that were good, but then like Kinect was even still doing that thing on account of Wii from 2006. And I mean, that kind of, I think, destroyed Microsoft initially because they focused on it.
Well, you have to lock in these choices. Like the decision to double down on Kinect had to be made so early
Far in
like
advance.
the Xbox One life cycle that then they have this like yoke around their neck that they can't shake off.
Because Xbox, I think that's the reason why they kind of lost that early generation generation, there was a certain amount of, I think, like the RAM that was dedicated to Connect, and they weren't even able to hit 720p or 1080p on some of these titles, and that's why I'm interested to see the whole 8K thing. Like, right, okay, well, that's nice, but TVs don't even do 4K. But
pretty skeptical.
Yeah, exactly. Like mainstream right now. So
I mean, you gotta future proof your stuff. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
You can't have a box that works for 2020. You have to have a box that works for like 2025. So you know, I understand that, but like, man, like, how many homes don't even have 4K TVs yet?
Exactly.
We do a lot of like research into what people are searching, so we can write about articles that might appeal to them. And the big search terms that I saw, which won't be answered for so long, is like, what's Bloodborne like on PS5? What's this game like? Everybody wants to know about the games, and so while the console announcement is going to be interesting and we follow it and everything, it is crazy that we have no games list and that there's so few discussions about like why would I play a game on a PS5 instead of a PS4, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Sam, I think you're completely right that they want to fuzz and blur the lines between the generations. Anytime there's a big console generation, like a break, like things are different now, that's an opportunity for people to just switch allegiances, right? And the companies want to stop that. Like, Sony wants to do everything in their power to provide continuity through people that have a PS4 and just have carry them right through to PS5. So.
They've almost established themselves as the stability in the industry. So if they're saying that they're going to be the safe system, then they kind of push Nintendo to experiment, which Nintendo always does. Yeah. And they push Microsoft to experiment, which has kind of screwed them over a little bit before. Yeah. So like if Microsoft comes out now, it's just like, no, we're the boring system. It's going to be really interesting.
PR.
And I think I agree with Damon. Like, I love having and I'm using boring not like even pejoratively. Like, I actually do think like we need that system by which we can judge other systems and the wackiness of what's going to come.
Yeah. It's fitting because Sony's really the torchbearer today of the traditional AAA single-player console game. Yeah, with games like God of War and Spider-Man. Yeah, Days Gone. So it makes sense that they have that their console is the more traditional video game console, the more powerful version of what we had before. That's what we used to always get, and we were happy with that for a long time. Yep.
And PSVR is going to work with the same thing. Like, I think the continuity thing is like such an interesting theme, and it also is going to be expensive for everybody because when they go 0.5 with this, and then they do this, like we're starting to see a console cycle that's like, well, we can't probably push them much shorter than buying a console every 3 or 4 years, but I think we can get them to do that. And now we're going to be doing that. We're going to be buying consoles that often.
Yeah. They were cagey in the Wired article about VR. Didn't really have anything to say about that yet. So whether they lean into that or lean away from it is still a big question mark.
Yeah. And the pricing too. I mean, to me, I was actually at that event when they announced it. I remember sitting next to Fran and Per, and I said, hey, if they announce this thing at $399, $100 less than the Xbox, it's over for this generation. I said that. I said those words then. And to me, it's like if they increase the price now pretty dramatically, I don't know what they would launch at, but I mean, it's got to be kind of risky if there's not a crazy benefit to seeing PlayStation 5 besides load times, right?
But a Pro is $500, right?
No one knows.
I think it's, yeah. Well, I mean, that was the other question. MSRP, right? We'll talk about maybe the Xbox thing after, but yeah, MSRP changes pretty dramatically, even if it says it's $499.
Well, yeah. Do people hold to it or not?
Yeah, exactly.
I just think if the next generation PlayStation can't be less expensive than the PlayStation 4 Pro, right?
Yeah,
I think that would be in line with their pricing for it.
Yeah,
I own every console, play games on every console, like franchises on every console, but I love the gamesmanship of the console war, these multi-billion-dollar companies. It's so fascinating to me just how high the stakes are that they have to make these decisions, as we were saying, like 3 years ago. Like, are we going to have a more powerful $500 box or a little bit more conservative $400 box? And like, locking those decisions in, and I don't know. It's really fascinating to me, and it's always my favorite time to be doing the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, and what's Sony at now for units to date sold? I think it's around 90 million or something like that.
90-some, 96 or something like that.
Mid-90s.
They won.
There are like lingering problems we talk about sometimes, and load times is one of them, where it's like, why isn't this solved? Like, well, it's completely crazy that we have all this other stuff going for us. Games are looking more and more real, very pretty, but load times never go away. So it's really cool to see that tackled head on. It's like, well, if we can't improve, the experience in all these other graphical ways, let's just improve it in this way.
And you used it with a technical example where it's like, it's not just as simple as an SSD. It's the I/O interface within the context of the system, because you can put an SSD in the new PlayStation 4. It does not make it that fast. So there's a lot of inner workings of the guts that are changing there. So,
is there any significance to the fact that they're not calling it PlayStation 5 yet?
Nah.
I think they want to do that as a logo reveal.
That's the
It's just a
reveal.
marketing
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
I think we'll get that at the same time we see the design of
The
box.
hardware. Yeah.
So much of what we think of as a console war right now is a reaction against Microsoft losing the market share.
Absolutely.
And Microsoft, I think, made a very confusing console name,
Yep.
and they put Kinect in their console, and they made it like they stunted it because of that. Like, there's no way PlayStation's going to go those ways, right? And if they do, like, it'll seem foolish. And so I think we can expect them if it looks like they're playing it safe, then we can expect the PlayStation 5 to be the name, and there'll be another God of War on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to play it that way.
And that's how they ended the article. They're like, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. It's PlayStation 5. It's going to play video games really fast, really well.
On that performance thing, though, about how much faster it was to fast travel in
Do
Spider-Man.
you have any sound effects or music here? What? It just seems like we're not
We
filling
do.
the space.
We do in between segments.
Oh my god!
Man,
All right.
Sam's just
Keep
itching.
going, Damon.
He's just
Keep
itching.
going.
It makes fast traveling so much easier on Spider-Man. But like the next gen games will be, much bigger and more involved. So I think the PlayStation
Yes.
5 games will still take 15 seconds to fast travel.
They still just gobble up like whatever
Yeah, it's
advantage.
just-
Yeah, every time technology makes a leap, there's something that makes it come back to the same space. It's like, yeah,
My home computer has 16 gigabytes of RAM,
Yeah.
but it still takes the exact same amount of time to like load email as it did when it had like
Yeah.
1 gigabyte of RAM.
The way I always complain about that is for exporting video.
I know.
Like,
you get in the, you're
Yeah.
like, man, it's like a minute or two now. And they're like, yeah, I've tried exporting 4K.
yeah.
Nope, it's not a
And it
minute or
just
two anymore.
It goes right back to being 1-to-1. How long is
Exactly.
your video? That's how long it's going to
That is
take.
it. 8K. Oh, God.
Yep.
Exactly it.
They said it's not coming this year. So assuming this comes next year, how big does the hard drive need to be? On the launch PlayStation 5.
Terabyte at minimum.
It's weird that
boy.
we're
That's
still
a year
talking-
from now.
Please, too.
It's like, how could that be enough a year from now?
Because I think they'll have the internal ones smaller and faster and then give you the opportunity to have an I.O. connection to plug external ones in. Like right now, I have a 4 terabyte external hard drive on my PlayStation, but I did upgrade a smaller internal one at 2 terabytes.
That's an interesting point. I wonder if they'll make some distinction between like 2 terabyte solid state drives, particularly if they're proprietary to the
Super
console,
expensive.
are crazy expensive.
Yeah.
So they'll probably do something like you'll have like an active game.
Yes.
And then they'll be like, take 30 minutes, whatever, overnight, and like, this is gonna get dragged over to your crazy fast drive, but
Yeah.
then they'll have like a slow storage. Right?
All this is like so funny to talk about because we've mentioned this before. Breath of the Wild is like 14 gigabytes or something.
Yeah.
Like
so
people
crazy.
people just don't compress their games.
I know.
And they don't do it because they don't have to.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe there'll be a leap there. Maybe games will just be smaller in the future, not bigger. I don't know why we assume they're going to be bigger. They don't have to be.
Well, I mean, with the textures, though, you'd assume they're going to be like Red Dead was, 110 gigs
Yeah.
or something like that?
A lot
But
of it-
again, like that stuff, like this is not optimized.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
true.
work on that.
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of people, a lot of it's textures, but a lot of it's Sam's right. Like it's like, why is this Call of Duty game 89 gigabytes? And it's because
Yeah.
it's coming with like every language audio, like 10 gigabytes of audio from
Yeah.
8 languages. And it's like they're just not. It's not a priority.
But they made that a conversation there too, like going, oh, if we implement different audio systems and all that stuff, it could be just one of those things where, okay, now we have 50 million sounds because we can, and then it's the same thing, and then there's
totally.
60 gigs of audio.
But and also again,
Because-
our internet in this country specifically can't handle that. Like
Yeah.
that's why discs will still exist, is because like if you do make games that big, then you got to print them. You
Yeah.
just have to.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we could say we'll be learning more at E3, but that is not the case.
But we'll be learning more almost weekly probably now.
Think so?
Something will happen.
Something, not through Sony.
When
probably,
developers
but- yeah.
get dev kits and it's out there, we
Yeah.
start seeing like them being sold on eBay. That's a thing that happens.
Well-
there's these moments in the console releases
Generations.
which are really fun to watch.
Here's a question: does any third-party publisher at E3 mention our game will be coming to PlayStation 5?
Yeah,
Next-
that's
or they'll probably
that's
say
what's gonna be
next gen.
cool about
Yeah.
E3
Next
this
gen,
year. It's just
yeah.
weird
That would
not
be
to have Sony first-party games
Yeah.
talking about that.
And Mark Cerny's pretty, tied into Death Stranding with Kojima and all the rest of those things. Like I would say that's going to be like a
Yep.
showcase.
Well,
game for PlayStation.
You think so?
I think so.
I think a lot of these
I
games
don't
are going to
think
be
that's true.
cross-gen. I think that's going to be the language at E3. Like,
Cross-gen.
and if not, like IGN kind of needs to push this narrative. Like,
Yeah.
is your game going to be appearing
Cross-gen.
on both generation of platforms?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's we talk about like what are we going to hear about PlayStation at E3? Like that's what we're covering. Like we're going to be as journalists like going there to cover that.
Yeah. No to Death Stranding. Sorry.
I think we'll be playing Death Stranding first on PS4.
Oh, interesting. You don't think they'll hold it for a PlayStation 5 release in 2020?
I don't think so. That's my hunch.
All right.
Moving on.
Cool.
Oh.
I actually don't remember what that's from.
It's definitely a Sega.
It's something on the
game,
Genesis.
yeah.
How can
Sounds
you
like
tell?
It's just that
Oh,
synth
you don't think
chip
it sounds
sound.
like a Genesis game?
Yeah.
Totally.
And, I mean, I don't think about it that way.
No, I do.
It
Yeah,
has
just like
those
sound.
bings
Like,
and bongs that
It's
are
obvious
just
that
right.
it's obvious that it's not an NES game, right?
Yeah.
I'm going with Streets of Rage 2.
I would have remembered that.
No.
Well, how would you not remember?
Because it's not. It's some obscure game.
Oh, okay.
I remember I picked this stuff at random.
Sounds a little bit like Altered Beast, actually, or something.
I would remember if it were Altered Beast.
Okay.
It's something obscure.
Okay. Tasmania.
This week, maybe if it comes to me, I'll let you guys know.
Figure it out.
After many leaks, Microsoft finally revealed the Xbox One. Here it is, the Xbox One S, all digital edition, which acronyms to the Xbox One SAD edition,
Like, can they just not figure it
which
out?
is amazing to me. Nobody at Microsoft looked at this and thought, maybe we should go with something else.
Well, they had diskless.
Exactly.
Which you have to be careful about.
Yeah.
Diskless.
And they also had XBONE.
Well, that's true.
As their
So yeah, I guess you're right. There is no one at Microsoft looking at this
They
stuff.
need an acronym guy.
exactly.
But they also
really
said-
The word all doesn't need to be in there. It adds nothing.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
Get it
you're right.
out of there.
You're right.
Yep. All except
no.
the disc drive and the Blu-ray
Like,
player.
Doesn't any big company that's making a big product like this, they need like a meme advisor
Yeah,
on
they
board
do.
to look at your shit.
love that job
and be able to be
idea.
like, all right, this is how people are going to make fun of you.
Absolutely.
But they don't have that yet.
Fart, fart.
At GDC, I went to a talk where they're talking about crunch in the industry, and one of the presenters, and I wish I knew her name because she's done other cool stuff, but she was a geographer. She was like a geographer, that's what her trade was.
Cool.
And she was hired by video game companies to say like, oh, if you put out this game in this country, this thing will be offensive. Oh, right. And she's like a contractor that goes around to do that. And so there could be totally a meme person that goes around. Like, guys, this is what's going to happen if you call your system sad.
Yeah. They need one. Like, if they haven't learned their lesson by now, they will never learn.
I guess not. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with an all digital or digital edition of the Xbox
No, and there's
console.
nothing wrong.
There's one thing wrong.
There's
with
nothing wrong with being sad.
That's true as well.
There's nothing wrong with the idea of a console without a disc drive.
No.
It's the price is the problem.
There you go.
They priced it so wrong.
Exactly.
It's
It's unfathomable.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's $250, which means there's literally no reason to buy it because a regular Xbox One S costs that or less.
Yeah, you can get an Xbox One S that has a 4K Blu-ray player in it and the Division 2 for less money.
Or Anthem.
MSRP doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
But it's like, honestly, I have to repeat this. There is literally no reason to buy this at $250.
There's
right
that funny ad.
No, it's
Did
not
you
funny.
Did you guys each see it?
It was so bad.
I actually looked at it. I sent it to you. They took it down last night because I think the like to dislike ratio, and they've re-uploaded it this morning or late. Yeah,
Well, how does that help?
I don't know. It doesn't, but I think it eliminates some of the negativity because I was looking at a bunch of the posts and I was like, oh my gosh.
If you didn't see it, Justin, they put up an ad for the SAD edition.
Yeah.
That seemed like an April Fool's joke. They were trying to play it for laughs. Like they just took up an image file of the Xbox One S and just deleted the disk drive part of it, and then that was like their angle.
I mean,
they were,
it's a cute angle, and it just doesn't work in this video very
Especially
well.
not
But
with this-
I'm not a critic of the video, but it's funny that they took.
I am. I mean, here's the thing. I watched the video like 20 times. It's
so you're a super fan.
Yeah, in a way, because I'm like, do they not realize they are shooting themselves in the foot with this ad? Like, it's shot so expertly well, and the concept is great.
Yeah, I think
if
it
it was on April 1st,
Yeah.
it literally
Well, it came
makes
in the
them-
same month.
Yeah, it makes them look as if they don't know that they're slow.
which we now know.
Which we do know now, but it's like, hey guys, guess what? We removed the Blu-ray drive, and we left the price the same.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did.
Go get it today.
Are you saying that the S with the drive is the same price?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
less.
It's less with the drive and a game.
Bundled. There's less.
So-
What blew me away about this is I thought it'd be, and this would be a reason to buy it. I thought it'd be cheap, diskless,
Yep.
and the X level of
not
power.
it's not X level
Right?
power.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Or-
that would be the cool trade-off. It's
Yes.
like, okay, you can't afford the X, so we'll take out the disk drive and we'll give you a really powerful system. But
In
do
Microsoft's
that.
defense, CJ, you keep talking about MSRP. The MSRP of like the Division 2, Xbox One S is $300.
Yeah.
And the MSRP of this is $250. But the problem is no one's selling their Xbox One S at $300.
Right. And it's not a new thing. It's been available at that price for like 2 years now.
And it's discounted, $299 crossed out to $250 on Microsoft.com.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Here's the other thing. When you watch the ad, they're literally clicking on the CD drive and going, "It's gone. We did it." And I'm like, fantastic. Here's what sucks. The form factor is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So unless you're looking at it directly from straight on, I don't know how often now you're going to go, no disk drive. And you're going to run into
cramming a disk in. Because it has that little bank where the disk drive is, so you can't actually tell if the disk drive is missing.
It's mind-boggling.
It does come with Xbox. It comes with Xbox Game Pass. I don't recall how many months, which is, not a
2 or 3
service.
downloadable games.
And it comes with some downloadable games, but it's not enough.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll say is so if they're going to do that, I was thinking it might be a redesign because I actually like the PlayStation 4 Slim because it's portable. I was like, cool, this is their way to get rid of the space.
But that would be a reason to buy it.
Right, and then
you got them.
That's true. Then I was like, cool, it's gonna be portable, and I was like, it is the same thing without the drive.
If they would have leaned harder into the digital, like, what if it came with a library of like 20 digital games, which I know costs Microsoft money, but like, pick some ticky tacky stuff of like, it comes with 20 games, comes with Master Chief Collection, comes with this garbage, and like,
rather than all the stickers that just says does not include disk drive.
What if we bought a bunch of them and then epoxied a handle under them?
Yeah.
And then sold them for 1 cent more.
Well, and what an insult to like, GameStop and these other stores that are now selling this thing. That's like
the returns.
Why? Because the employees are going to have to explain? Or?
Yeah.
No, because then you can't they're going to sell someone a box that is a customer that's never going to walk into their store again.
That too.
All right. Can you play some music for me? Because this is called The Collector's Corner. This machine will be worth so much money.
Cobra Triangle.
That's a good angle. There you go.
Yeah, that was the Cobra Triangle load thing.
Good ear.
You're so good at that. I'm really amazed, man. Every time a little thing of music plays from a game that I've played a million times, you recognize it. I don't.
This new era of GameScoop drives me insane because I recognize them all, but not what any of them. Not like I can't.
Cobra Triangle.
So,
but yeah, I
can't name this one.
No, not this one. Some Genesis game.
The title of the file
Sonic Spinball
is Departure.
Departure.
Definitely Spinball. But this system will be expensive, and it'll be the most expensive brick because in 20 years you won't be able to do anything with it.
I disagree with that. We actually have an email about that.
How do you disagree with that?
Well, let Taylor.
Let's skip this email and answer my question.
This is Taylor in beautiful, sunny Portland, Oregon.
Hello.
Says, I sat out on Xbox this generation, but with the Xbox One S All Digital Edition and Game Pass combo coming, seems like there is no better value for playing through the Xbox One games I missed. I love to keep all my old consoles and occasionally will whip them out to have a stroll down memory lane. Be advised, people in sunny Portland, Oregon. Taylor is around just whipping them out whenever he wants. Says, I've been split this generation on buying digital on both Switch and PS4, but I know that even the digital games on those consoles should be playable in the future. My question is this: if I pick up an Xbox One SAD and use it as a Game Pass machine, will it become nothing but a paperweight 10 or 15 years down the line? Is it worth it to get one with a disc drive just so that it is guaranteed to have some sort of value in the future? You're downloading games to the console. You're not streaming them. So once you download them, you still have them.
No, the monthly pass things, though, if you stop paying for the service, you don't have the access to the game.
Do they work? That's how PS Plus works, and I actually don't know.
That's how Games with Gold works.
That's how Game Pass works, but I don't know about
Game Pass.
Is that how Games with Gold works as well?
Yeah. Otherwise, you really could. Get it for a few months and then play games
you keep them with Games with Gold.
I mean, well, you still have to check in though. That's the thing. You need to be, I think, connected online.
No, let's clarify. Like Game Pass is a subscription service where it's like Netflix.
That's
right?
for sure. Yeah.
You pay $10 and then you have a library of games you can download and play. So if you unsubscribe, you lose that library of games. But Games with Gold and PS Plus give you a couple games every month. But PS Plus holds them hostage.
Yes.
They do,
if you unsubscribe, they go away.
It every month.
But if you just download Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you have that.
Right.
You're not going to lose that
if
game.
you buy the game digitally.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about just buying your games digitally.
Yeah.
I don't know if it does a check. Like, let's say Microsoft is like, fuck it, we're not in the Xbox business anymore. Like, then what?
Yeah.
Well, they don't say anything about it being like an always online console.
Yeah, but like, do your digital copies, like, if you're offline, can you play your digital copy of Assassin's Creed?
I'm assuming you can.
Yes, sometimes
It's not an always online console. It's just a download.
But there's a DRM concern.
There is. And the licensing thing, sometimes I've run into that too, where I didn't have an internet connection and it wouldn't let me because it needed to touch.
Sometimes it has to check in.
It has to check in.
It has to
with
phone
your
home.
license.
If the games with gold, you will no longer be able to access your games with gold titles if you cancel your subscription.
Yeah.
However, if you decide to renew your subscription anytime, you'll be able to access and play your previously redeemed games.
You get them back.
So that was a feature that they took away?
No.
Says you will no
Both
longer?
that and Plus are the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to subscribe to play those games.
Yeah, that's the part I wasn't sure about, is whether gold worked the same as Plus.
Which is really weird because it used to be basically that you would have online Xbox, quote, quote, for free, right? But then there were certain features that they disabled, mostly multiplayer and those downloadable things and stuff like that. And then, of course, now since Game Pass came out, they've probably restructured some of those things. And as well, now a lot of PlayStation are giving away games as well, too. So they had to do that, I think, for that reason.
But this will be a brick if those services stop.
Yep.
I mean, that.
See, I disagree.
Oh, no, sorry. You could buy the games. And
That's
put
what
them
I'm
on the
saying.
system.
If you're just downloading your games digitally.
Well, but Sam, when
but
you were
that-
looking that up, what we were asking was what happens if just the Xbox service ceases to exist, or you don't have internet anymore? Like, does that console have to phone home in order for you to even play the games that you bought digitally? Like,
Not for the digital purchase
I don't
games.
think so. Like,
Consoles
that's
are
not-
still that way because you can unplug your console and play whatever you want right now. Some will say, "Do you want to do an update?" Or they'll say, "This requires an update to play online," but they let you play all the single player.
but that's how Steam works. Like, Steam lets you play
for
games
sure.
offline, but not for an infinite amount of time. At
Right.
some point, it makes you log back in.
Yeah, I've never heard of that for these consoles.
I think I can fire up my Xbox 360 and
Yeah.
still play all my Xbox Live Arcade games that are on it.
Yeah, I mean, but that, again, I think was a little bit different because it didn't have to do the check-in thing that is with Xbox One.
But that's not. I think once you own a game, you're not gonna. It's gonna act just like a disc.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the hope.
Well, that's the hope, and you're right. It's a fair question. I think the bigger issue is that, especially even multiplayer games that require network connection, is will the provider, the developer, end up having those games online at that point in time?
Dude, it used to
somewhere
be
down the
like
road,
it used to be like, hey, they would handle this with Kid Gloves. EA would be like, look, we're gonna shut down the servers for FIFA 2004.
Yep.
We're really sorry. And we're like, yeah, it's been 12 years. It's fine.
Yeah.
But now, like, they're shutting down servers like pretty
Or they
fast.
remove
like,
games from the shops, and,
Yep.
and there's like
They're
Twitter
just
accounts
gone.
and stuff that follow that.
Yes.
But like, there's no announcement for it.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, can't
gone.
get it anymore, but I have it on my disc and I play it often on my 360 because for that reason.
how often?
Well, I mean, once a year. I just throw
Okay.
it in.
All of this whole conversation is irrelevant though, because you shouldn't open the box if you buy that console, or else it definitely won't be worth it.
Yeah, one of two
it
things
sealed.
is going to happen. Either it's going to be crazy rare, or Microsoft has already made 2 million of them, and it's going to be $100 in 6
Well, then it'll
months.
be in a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
It's like I saw today actually the PS Classic was $35, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it. It went to 60 and that was a big deal, and then 40 and that was a big deal, and now Newegg has them for 35.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Anyway, I think the Xbox One Sad Edition is an incredible misfire. I will say once again, there is literally no reason to buy that console. At
It's
that
also
price
just
today.
beautifully unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
How different would the storytelling be if this thing was like $190?
Yeah.
150.
Yeah.
199.
Yeah.
Yeah, even $199 would be like it's the cheapest way to get next gen. Like, buy it, it's great.
Yep.
Like, they.
Insane. Same.
You love it.
Now, another questionable hardware announcement that was made this week is the Capcom Home Arcade.
Well.
This is Capcom's take on the mini.
Damon has a
classic
hang up with this. That's
console.
why he's introducing it.
Well, I'm surprised that other people don't have the same hang up. Anyway, this is another a hardware unit that Capcom is releasing that with 2 joysticks that will include 16 classic Capcom arcade games, and the game lineup is pretty dope.
It's incredibly dope.
But the unit itself is not like an arcade, table. It's just the Capcom logo with all the sort of contours and curves that you would imagine that entail, and that's what it is with 2 joysticks on top of it. So I just can't think how I would I'm sitting on my couch in front of my TV. This giant Capcom logo is just sitting on my lap. Like what? What am I like going to put my hands on even?
You're also probably going to, since it's all focused on these multiplayer games, these two-player games.
Two people.
You're going to be touching the person
you're
going
to
to
be bumped right up next to them.
Yeah, that was the
Which
joke I
isn't-
made on Twitter. My reaction was, you better like the person that you're playing
Yeah,
with.
which isn't that different than an arcade experience, sure. But you're sitting on a couch.
Well, you're not moving the cabinet though, and you're freaking reefing on the.
But how
controller
sad is it going to be when it's seesawing on your lap when you're playing by yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, man.
And if that thing split in two, right, for two people to play these games and not have to be touching, I don't know. It'd be a lot more.
Cap and com.
Or if they're just the regular
cap and com.
if it was the regular rectangle shape
call
that
com.
every fighting stick is,
Yeah.
that seems a perfectly reasonable choice for the shape of the
But
controller.
this is unreasonable and amazing looking.
Yeah.
See, and right there, I feel like that's taken priority exclusively, so that when they look back in 15 years, it's like, oh, do you remember that? Yeah,
It's like the chainsaw controller for the
great.
GameCube.
Yeah, it's just like a.
Sam, is this going to be a collector's edition or is it going to be a collector's item?
If Damon doesn't like it, then yes.
There you go. The other weird thing about this is that it's only available to pre-order from Capcom's European store.
I mean, all of this is going to make it worth a lot of money. Yeah.
This thing is not even mentioned on Capcom's North American store.
Well, that's probably going to change, right?
I'm just saying, and just so far.
I just think that's one of the vagaries of
But
doing international business.
But today, when there's the internet there's just one internet.
Yeah.
But what's the so they're going to announce it for US sometime down the road.
Try telling that to IGN Italy that keeps reviewing every game.
It is weird. IGN Spain, IGN Japan, IGN India.
No, I mean, like all joking aside, like some international subsidiaries of companies work crazy together and operate as one, and some don't. So I wouldn't.
I'm just pointing that out as an unusual thing right now.
Yeah.
For right now, you can only pre-order it from the European store, and it for whatever 230 euros, something like that.
So I
The
don't
price
think
is insane.
I don't think the contours and stuff look that bad. I think it'll be fine for.
Let me see it again.
Where are you going to rest your arms? It's not big enough.
It's not.
Where do you rest your arms when you hold a controller now?
I know it's not
the
an
controller is
airplane
like
seat.
this. I can't play it. I can't
It's a
hold
game
it like
controller.
this. It's going to be
so
sitting on my lap.
It makes you so mad.
No, what?
A regular fighting stick has like room for your forearms to like lean on it.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Here's the other thing.
No, you put it in your lap and you hover your hands like Mr. Burns.
I'm
You
thinking
keep your
like-
hands like this.
I need a demo here. What's the other thing? Look at the controller and tell me what can you see and not see.
You can't see the buttons.
You
The buttons
can't
are clear.
see the buttons. Like right now,
They get in the way of the Capcom logo.
But you're supposed to. You don't see the buttons when you're using any controller.
No, but my point is there is something to be said about having buttons that are typically bright red or bright something that differentiates from the actual backdrop.
I think
that
they might
you're
be
looking at.
backlit.
No.
It might glow.
see.
It looks-
different.
it
Well, I
looks
also think like
weird.
with 16 games, like they don't really want to, like they can't be like, oh, press the red button. Like they need to just
Yeah.
keep the buttons generic.
Yeah.
A lot of people
So
put that
weird,
on the coffee table too, so you're just kind of like hanging there. But it will be weird if you can't play that in your lap with nobody else. Like it's just you need to, I guess, put your cat there.
It's gonna be all
Your
off
cat,
center.
Just put the other side of
That's
it.
like such a non-trivial detail.
Get one of those pillows.
The form factor
couch.
is so bizarre.
Throw a
And,
pillow.
and everything's going to be plugged into it, right?
Well, you just plug in the HDMI cable.
But that's what I mean. So then even that, it's like VR
Well, that's
right
the other
now.
thing. Yeah.
No, it's powered also.
Right. So then you have these AC. It's basically every problem that we've had with all these like mini releases.
So you have
the
AC
cords
power
are too long.
and an HDMI cable that extends all the way to your lap.
You do have the
That's
extension
actually a really
cable.
good point. It's
Yeah.
like
HDMI.
all the other mini consoles at least have a controller cord coming out of it.
Yeah.
And this doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's
you-
pretty sketch.
You can use 40D batteries.
they're gonna include a big long extension cable just wrapped up with the thing. It's
What-
like 20 gauge.
What seriously uses D batteries today?
Maglite.
Big flashlights.
Is that all it is? Just big.
Do you remember when we had the flashlight in the office that could burn holes in paper?
No, I don't.
So we had a
What?
show called
Cheap, Crazy, Cool.
Oh
Cheap-
yeah,
cheap,
I remember
cool,
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The start era.
and they got a mag light, but it was so powerful that you could hold it up to a piece of white paper and it would just burn a hole right through it.
And what could
the
go wrong?
beam.
Yikes.
Everybody pointed at each other's eyes in the
Oh,
office the minute we got
God.
it.
Naturally. Flashback to start there.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what the logo was. It was something like it was
It's
like
great. It's like retro.
Oh, yeah.
no, the slogan.
Oh,
it was
start?
like play a little, learn a little. It's like life.
Yeah.
So,
something like that.
Damon, I have some
like
some logos to run by you for your acceptability rating.
Logos.
Yeah, for
You
a
realize
controller.
I don't have an issue with the Capcom logo.
No, but
Great
for the
logo.
contour of a controller based on these logos, okay?
Well,
Are you ready?
yeah.
The IGN logo.
Just the letters? Or like the old one, that's
the
like the
D-pad.
circle, the D-pad one.
Yeah, that one.
Would be a difficult, not a good controller.
Okay, Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, just the rectangle, the square pizza box? Yeah, that's good. That's great.
They can split in half.
The Taco Bell.
No, that wouldn't be a good one. Your hands would be sliding off the sides of the bell.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, if it's solid, it's the right shape. It's the right overall, basically a rectangle shape. If it's solid, that would be good.
Okay, and finally, Konami.
No, Konami would not be good.
No.
Now we know.
Got the Konami jig in there?
We have to touch on that price, $250.
That's crazy.
Ish.
Yeah.
Transit.
What a bummer. Like, if you were to chart my excitement for this console, it's like, oh, it's got Aliens vs. Predator. Oh, it's got all these awesome games. And
Yeah.
then, ooh, wait.
Yeah.
It's how
I mean,
much
like-
money?
Yeah, for just 16 games, which like I said at the top, I think it's a really good list. But there's some pretty obscure ones in there. Like I don't think most people.
What was that mech fighting game?
Cyberbots.
I'd never
Full Metal Madness.
I'd never heard of Cyberbots. I watched
cool.
some YouTube videos of it. Looks awesome.
I can run down the game list here. 1944, The Loop Master. That game's pretty cool. Top-down shooter. Alien vs. Predator. Never been released on consoles before, so that's cool. Armored Warriors. Not familiar. Capcom Sports Club. Not familiar. Captain Commando. Beat 'em up, starring
Yeah.
the old mascot. That one's cool.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's a generic Cable-like superhero that is Captain Commando, which is just from the Capcom name, and they just made a game based out of it.
Cyberbots Full Metal Madness. Darkstalkers The Night Warriors, of course, classic. Eco Fighters. I'm not familiar with
It's
that
like
one.
a Captain Planet-y fighting game.
Final Fight, amazing. Ghouls and Ghosts, amazing. Giga Wing, really cool shooter. Mega Man The Power Battle is a Mega Man fighting game in arcades.
play it.
Pro Gear, don't know that one. Street Fighter 2, of course. Strider is an awesome action game. And then Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which I think is
go.
great.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good one.
Oof. I do. Oh, man.
Real focus on multiplayer because they're all
yeah,
arcade games,
yeah.
and it's really neat.
And because there's
So
two
it's like-
controllers on the stick.
I don't know. It's another weird one. Good game list. Very expensive and I think a baffling.
All right, we'll post the
Form
bruises on Damon's sensitive little forearms
Yeah.
once we get this to test in the office.
There's a Let's Play. Is to actually line up every game, specifically fighting games, where you're mashing the controller back and forth and see the distance you actually need to be next to somebody in order to play it comfortably. You almost need to be. Yeah, it's gonna be terrible, but good. It's so bad.
What's your job here?
Yeah, stop it. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be you two. It's gonna be you two.
Can we play Puzzle Fighter?
Absolutely.
Love puzzle.
Can we? Maybe it'll hurt too much.
That's what I'm hoping for.
All right, everybody be cool. I have to keep our sponsors happy.
You know what it is?
That's when the boat flies in and you land.
It's all Cobra Triangle.
The boat flies and you land.
It does. The boat
Flies
like,
into the street.
It does. The boat flies in with its little propeller, and then
Cobra Triangle is impossible to play.
it's
by the
really
way.
hard.
It's
a really hard
possible
game.
it's difficult to control, right?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
tried
Fun
playing
game,
that
though.
in the office.
I think it's pretty
Yeah.
playable.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, man.
We'll look
I
at
don't
It's
it
hard.
after this.
It's a hard
Yeah.
game. Yeah. I can get about like third boss.
we never did play
That's
Mappy, by
really
the way.
far.
It is far. Yeah.
Let's check in with the
Oh
listeners.
yeah, we need to play
Hey,
Mappy.
listener.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop.com, just like Philip Krostowski did. He says, I am a new listener from St. Louis, Missouri, and want to say your show helped me stay sane while studying for the most important exam of my career, the PhD qualifying exam. Required me to shelve gaming for 5.5 months.
Aw.
I will give you some good news, though. I passed the exam on my first try.
Congratulations.
And you only get 2 chances. Other good news is a month after passing my qualifying exam, I got married. Now, as a gamer, there is the balance between wanting to play video games, which I love, and spend time with my wife, whom I also love. My question is, how do you split your time to allow for gaming and for time with your significant other? Do you have any advice to a newlywed on how to make sure there is time for gaming and time for the wife? Let me add, my wife would not be considered a gamer.
Always a challenge.
I have a funny tip that Brian Altano gave me, which I don't do, which is he gets up at like 5 a.m. and plays games.
Gosh.
He has a whole day before his day.
Yeah.
He watches. He's like, oh, I got up
Yeah.
this morning and watched the Avengers, and I came into work.
And I would,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I see your,
And
I think that's a really good tip. Like it's not for me. I don't have that problem, but it's interesting.
See, I'm a night owl. I'll do the opposite.
same.
that's me.
No way.
And I guess Justin's the same.
Yeah, my wife requires. We're just kind of lucky this way, or whatever. It's just a quirk of our relationship is that she needs more sleep than me.
Yeah.
And so she's in bed by like 9 and I'm in bed by like 11, 12, and then that's kind of my time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, so what's his question again? I want to actually.
How does he balance spending time with his wife and playing games?
I feel like there was a different question where we talked about this. The balance is not how do you do it, is it okay to do? I think that's when the issue comes in, right?
Hopefully it is.
Even though we are a video game podcast, let's make it very clear. Like, the wife comes first.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah. Well,
video
yes.
games are a hobby, and like, your spouse and loved ones always need to take precedence over.
That's the balance, though.
But I also want to point out, hopefully your wife knew about your passion for video games before you got married and was okay with it.
Absolutely, and that's my situation. My wife and I mean, I've actually gotten her into playing mobile games mostly. That was a mistake, expensive mistake. But she enjoys that. And
has
so,
she tried Gumballs and Dungeons?
Yeah, not yet. I've been, she's already playing other games, just one at a time.
Don't introduce Animal Crossing.
Exactly, I know. But I mean, yeah, she knew about me and being a little bit borderline obsessed with gaming, and that's never been an issue. But the onus is on me to be responsible, and that also is difficult because when you're getting late at night playing games like Sekiro and everything else.
Well, you're hardcore. You're much later an owl than I am.
Yeah, I'll stay.
I'll on a weeknight. I try to get to bed at midnight.
Yeah, midnight's my bedtime.
But
midnight.
I'll see you the next morning in the office. You'll be like, I was up 4 a.m. playing Apex Legends.
Because they go on these sprees where when you're playing with other people, you just forget what time it is, and that happens to me a lot.
don't.
I do.
Like, I gotta go to bed.
I do not look at the
Is it
clock.
because you're having fun?
Well, it's
why is the answer not yes?
Because I'm really competitive, so it's a combination of just being super competitive, having fun, but then also going like, all right, this is a new game, I'm really wrapped up in this, and then I get
It's like
caught
a
in
little
that.
bit of compulsion in
It is, and I'm aware that exists in me. So is she. So I'm glad that it's mutually beneficial for us. But yeah, it's definitely a problem when you're a first newlywed because you there's just figuring out that flow.
We don't have a problem with the time in our life. We do some light bickering about space, and just about having video games and video game junk and that garbage in our house is a point of contention between the two of us because we live
Don't get into arcade machines.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's not even an option. And so that's why, like, as digital has become more and more viable, it's been such a lifesaver where, like, now I can have a really, really big library of next-gen games without having to find a place to put them all. Like, we're literally out of, like, closet space.
Have I got the Xbox for you?
Yeah. You know what could also be an all-digital edition? Any other Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Buy
buy the regular 1S and just don't put any discs in it.
Buy the 1S and don't just buy your games digitally.
Is it smaller? Oh, it's the same size.
Anyway, we don't need back.
I had another point before I started laughing at your jokes again. I can't
happens.
remember what it is. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Oh, no, I do remember.
Okay.
My parents are both college professors, and they got PhDs, of course. And they have so much time in their weeks. I think you're going to be fine.
Okay.
Is this what you're going for? Are you going to teach? Because if you're going to teach in college, like, you just game for, the 40 hours a week that you're not working between 9 and 5. And then you teach, like, what, on Wednesday?
I've been
seeing this my whole life. I'm in and then they get the summers off.
Yeah.
And then they get a sabbatical.
For all the teachers, thank you for what
No, my
you
wife's
do.
a teacher.
I know that.
That's
I'm just
real.
saying. No, I know.
I'm
but-
saying
College.
professors, college professors.
Okay, gotcha. So all the professors.
They don't. They have office hours, maybe on Monday.
we're in the wrong profession.
Yeah, there it is.
for an hour, and then they don't show up.
Yeah, at 10:30 a.m.
I'm sure there's a little more to it, but
I've been seeing this firsthand. I mean, my parents are authors. They write books. They do all kinds of stuff, but they're not. They don't have to. They could be playing video games.
That's a choice that they made.
They were parents. That
their
took a lot of time. That's what professors do.
All right. Can we move on?
maybe.
Let's move on.
That's when your boat splashes people in Cobra Triangle.
Just every splash.
Man, I got
Every
TJ
time
twice
that
in a row. Yeah. That's when the audience gets a little splash. A little splash from your triangle.
Super Nintendo game. I don't know what it is though.
Is it Super Nintendo?
think it's
The file's
Nintendo.
called Round Clear.
Super
I don't know
Cobra
where it's from.
Triangle.
That's not a real game, I don't
Not a
think,
thing.
but it should have been.
Not a thing.
This is Cody
Hey, Cody.
What's up, buddy?
from Final Fight. Says, I haven't heard you guys discuss the Mega SG or any of the recent FPGA systems that Analog has been putting out. What do you guys think?
What do you mean we haven't discussed them?
We haven't talked about them on the show. Really.
I love FPGA. It's amazing. So basically, it's taking all of the exact what a computer was in the 80s or 90s or even earlier than that, and making that exact computer. So you're not emulating. You're not doing anything like that. You're transistor by transistor recreating the original device. And they're so good, and they play games so amazingly, and they can scale them in really fun ways. I'm totally pro FPGA, and they're being used to recreate very obscure arcade systems and games now too. It's like people that are programming this stuff as hobbyists are just really cool, and it's amazing.
Let's see.
And this analog company specifically put out the Analog NT, which is the NES remake, and they did the Super NT, which is Super Nintendo, and they just released the Mega NT.
Nice.
Yeah, Analog NT is great, but there's no equivalent cheaper version of it, so there's like a $400, $500 version of it. Of course, it was great, but the Super NT was like more in the 150 to 200 range, and I love it so much. It's my way to play Super Nintendo games on new televisions.
Yeah.
But I also have an old television I like playing on Super Nintendo.
I don't know much about them, but yeah, what are the ones that you have at your desk even? Is that...
Oh, that's nothing. Those are one's called a Retro Trio.
Retro Trio, yeah.
Not
the same thing.
The point of that is to conserve space on my desk and plug into
Multiple
a CRT television.
things, yeah.
And otherwise, I'd have to have a bunch of systems there. So that plays like just Genesis, Super Nintendo, Nintendo.
Yeah. Cool.
I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's fine, but it's not amazing.
I think those things are very cool. I'm really impressed with the work Analog is doing over there. And they've been including like unreleased, like the Sega Genesis one comes with an unreleased game built into the system too.
I mean, it's sort of, from my perspective, I have those consoles still, so I don't,
It's an easy way to get it hooked into your HD TV if you want to do that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, there's no good way to put a Super Nintendo into a contemporary television. It loses so much signal.
Yeah.
It degrades. It just looks like crap.
Terrible.
You can work on that. You can process that, but like this is a good solution for HDMI. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Be able to like list it in your TV channels and stuff too. Just like this is the Super Nintendo.
I mean, it's weird. The HDMI does carry like an inherent amount of latency, but a lot of that's in your television as well too. It's crazy what TVs do for
HDMI has latency, right?
It does.
And like the point of the system was to really, really tamp down
Eliminate
on that.
that.
And
That's
so
cool.
I don't notice it, and I really notice latency in games like Punch-Out. So
Yeah,
I haven't had any
absolutely.
problems with
But
that.
like a top 10 disappointment for me in my SNES Classic is that that's when I discovered my TV had more input lag than I thought. Like I don't notice it in contemporary games because they're a little bit mushier
Can you
in how
put
they
it on
control
game mode?
anyway.
Yeah.
Even with game mode on.
Game mode.
It's not horrible. Like if you were to
It's
look
a
at
thing,
it,
though.
you wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's so bad." But it's bad enough that like there's a tick of latency there.
And then you learn to live with it. And then if you try to play the game on an actual system, and then you're off. And
Yeah,
stuff.
my muscle memory is all off in Mario World.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
It's the reason why when I look at TVs, game mode, and then even there's like a Dolby MPEG noise reduction thing that usually introduces a little bit of lag and latency in it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's other things to turn off. If you can go through and just make it like as naked as possible, sometimes that helps.
Yeah.
I'll probably just
TVs are so bad at that.
I know.
put the thing in the closet and just not deal with any of that.
Yeah, there's that too. Those tom hits right at the beginning are great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stereo and everything.
Stereo. Yeah.
This is Jester. That was a game over screen from something. This is Jester. In the list of best-selling game consoles on IGN's Twitter, we posted a list of that, best-selling game consoles of all time this week. I was shocked to see the gap in sales between the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. Seems like there's far more nostalgia for the N64 than PlayStation, even though the PlayStation sold far better. Any theories as to why? Perhaps it's how memorable the games were. It is true that the PlayStation outsold the Nintendo 64 by like 3-1.
Yeah.
it's insane.
I think there's more nostalgia for the PlayStation. There just is.
Well,
Oh, so you disagree with Jester?
I mean, in our office, there's a lot of Nintendo fans, but like in the world, I think there's more PlayStation fans, and their nostalgia for the PlayStation is palpable, and we should offer coverage of it.
the
well, no
PlayStation,
one's saying we shouldn't cover it.
the PlayStation dropped to like $99. The PS1 did, and like it just dropped and dropped and dropped in price. And that was the console that lived for like 9 or almost 10 years and had like this life beyond even when the PS2 came out. They still released the PS1, the O&E edition, and like I don't know what percentage of its console sales happened at like that very 11th hour, but like a lot, like tens of millions of consoles. So that skews the data somewhat. Like they were, the PlayStation was always ahead, but the N64 like ended and PS1 sales continued. Is what I'm
that's true.
at.
But if Jester is correct and there is more nostalgia for the Nintendo 64, even though it didn't sell as well, my guess would be that's just the power of Nintendo and
yeah.
their brands, and the fact that all the best games for Nintendo 64, some are regarded the greatest games of all time, Ocarina of Time, Mario 64,
and Mario Kart. Like those are
GoldenEye.
across generations.
but they were Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the best games on PlayStation, Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy 7, those aren't Sony games.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I didn't know if Sony did publish.
They're not as closely associated with the hardware.
It's just, I think there's just a greater brand affinity for Nintendo, that space.
Yeah.
That's my guess, at least.
Yeah, I think the just the IPs in and of itself, but then also the fact that when those games came out, trying to compare them to the previous 16-bit era, it was such a jump. Like it felt amazing. I just remember even Zelda and Mario. Like we can probably all remember where we were when we first played those games. I don't have that experience with PlayStation 1. Like it was a cool system. I don't remember anything from it that I go, oh man, I remember.
Well, I have a lot of those moments.
I do,
that.
but not as many as I did with like Super Nintendo.
It's interesting, but like I can say like internally, before it came out, it was a little bit of a dud. The PlayStation Classic was really, really popular with our audience.
Yeah.
Like I would say or maybe even slightly more popular than the other two classic systems that have come out. Now that's not Nintendo 64, but like I just think like there's a perception, just we're in a little bit of a Nintendo bubble sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's true.
Just the fact that it sold that much more outside of the Nintendo 64 means more people played it, and not necessarily the United States. In Japan and Europe, especially, it's just a different situation.
When we were living that generation, Nintendo very rightly got like savaged, right? Like the games are much more expensive. They would go have months and months long dry spells with nothing coming out, whereas PlayStation just had game after game after game and all the support from EA and third parties. But now, in 20 years hindsight, the only thing people really remember or care about are like what are the top 25 N64 games or PS1 games. So some of the criticism of the N64 that was real and legitimate sort of fades with time, and all you're left with is the legacy. And in that sense, the N64's legacy is like some of the greatest games ever.
That's a really good point. If you look at just the top 25 list for both of those consoles, it looks like they kind of have parity in their libraries. Right?
Yeah.
Even though the PlayStation library is vastly larger.
Well, it was broad, like the disc-based medium allowed the games to be cheap and be made really cheaply, and so for me as like a young gamer, and like that was around the time where it became like the focal point of my life. Just all the weird PS1 games, just like Vib Ribbon and just all this bizarre weird stuff that just couldn't exist on carts.
There's actually like non-weird ones like the Spyro series and Crash Bandicoot that are also like so popular with IGN's audience. Like those are the biggest games we've covered in the retro space.
Yeah, retro space.
And I really think it's maybe the reader's perception, and definitely like it happens to me because I just again like missed that era, and like Nintendo, like that PlayStation is not remembered as well. It totally is.
All right, that brings us to video game 20 questions. First, before we get to our real one, I want to read a letter here from Julian, who says, I live in rural Australia. I've been listening to the podcast for about a year now. A few weeks ago, I heard you guys say that there are some games you won't use in 20 questions. My question is, what is your criteria for getting a game onto the segment so I don't waste time emailing in games that definitely won't be picked? And the only criteria is that I'm not going to pick something that's so obscure, I don't think they would ever guess it. I want to,
we tried that this week.
to make it fair. And it didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're looking at a game. What was that game called?
It was called Astrobot something something.
No, not Astrobot.
No, something robot.
Yeah, it was a Nintendo 64 game that had gotten a high score.
I'm not going to ask about it.
Do you know what's happening here?
No.
Well, last week we lost in 20 questions, and I suffered a terrible wound. And this week, I'm still fighting.
This is good.
But I think it's true that if you win this week, your eye might grow back.
It might happen again.
So
Gotcha. Okay.
I can feel it in there.
And Julian from rural Australia submitted a game from 20 questions, and I'm going to read it here because I didn't pick it because I think this is a good example. Although, that's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Although yesterday, Sam, you said this game and brought this game up. So maybe it wouldn't have been as hard.
Hey, did I say the game?
Hack question number one.
His suggestion was Body Harvest.
Oh, yeah. And I would have gotten Body Harvest.
Okay, well, so I thought that might have been too obscure, but
well,
that's
I
good to know.
guessed Body Harvest for this other game about robots.
I think we would have ended up with like N64 exclusive, not made by Nintendo, and like I think we would have got there.
It's tough.
In general,
EMA
though,
design.
I'm just trying to pick
Cam
stuff that.
Rockstar.
Yeah, I think they. Can
I would have had at
actually
least
guess.
10 terrible questions for that.
Well,
Our
Enter the Gungeon, nobody would
well,
have gotten, so you failed your own test.
I thought Enter the Gungeon was pretty doable.
And then we walk out and we give Pear like 6 of the
Dude.
questions we got,
He
and
gets
it was
it.
the first thing he
That
got.
German efficiency, man.
Yep.
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
it's true. Our real suggestion this week comes from Chad Gregoire in Saskatchewan.
No way.
Canada.
Nice.
Saskatchewan a nice place?
It is. So it was my hometown for 12 years.
You know him?
I mean, he's my neighbor.
Do you know all the good like swimming holes?
You call him Greg.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, man? He's freezing up there? Yeah, you are.
Do you think you know which high school you went to?
I mean, if he told me, I probably would. It's a small.
I mean, this is Chad
How many high
Gregoire.
schools?
Yeah.
We're talking about.
I mean, here's the thing. Saskatchewan is the size of California.
What just popped up on the screen? Over there?
Land
I
mass
just want us
wise.
to update
It's
Stream
an
Deck.
update. We're going to leave that. It's land mass wise. I have a hard time taking you serious most of the time.
You should take me
anyways.
more seriously.
I apologize. So land mass, it's the same size as
this.
California, but there's only 1 million people in the whole province. So California has, I think, like 33 million.
So how much?
Character, wear a hat.
How much land is that per person?
I don't know, but
All right.
it's pretty big.
Let's let the questioning begin.
All right. You gonna do the voice the whole
Here,
time?
this might help.
What is about to happen?
I'm nervous. You don't know what's
You can wear
happening.
these.
Oh, perfect. This is just because I failed last week's.
No, it's just because you look cool.
All right.
Yeah, those do look pretty cool.
Do I?
Okay.
So video's back, everybody. I just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know you could see what was going on instead of just hearing us. Well,
Tune in.
I was going to say giggle, but I think CJ was losing it.
I'm giggling.
All right.
His full belly rolling.
First question.
This game come out before January 1st, 1990?
No.
Should we ask if it had a different name in Canada?
That's later.
Did it come in a
That's
bag?
later on.
So not before
Coming back.
1990. Was it before 2000?
Yes.
Oh, thank
Oh,
God.
90s
There
game.
we go.
Ooh, all right. I feel like a little bit of vision coming.
Yeah, there you go. It's coming back. Would this be a game on a cartridge?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good to know.
That's good. That is good to know. I think we got like.
I was just amused by the hypothetical framing of it. Not like, is this a game on a cartridge?
I always kind of want
Yeah.
like some wiggle room there.
Got it.
Would you describe this as go ahead.
Is this an N64 game?
No.
Okay. Would you describe this as a 16-bit game?
Yes. It appeared in 16-bit. Yes.
Okay.
It's 5
What is
questions.
happening?
I know. I mean,
Could be a TurboGrafx game.
yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering. Which
Well,
is
it could
kind
just
of
be
a
a
little
game
bit
that was
more
on
than.
Sega CD also or something, right?
No one knows how many bits that thing had.
Should we isolate Sega and Nintendo?
I'm not sure I understand what a bit is.
It's there's 15 others.
Biddies.
I've never thought much about it.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, did this game appear on the Super Nintendo?
Yes.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. All
Is
right,
it based
we
on a
did it.
license?
No.
Is this a
Pregnant pause.
Hey, that's part of the game, man. Reading Damon.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, there's another one going now.
Is this a platformer?
No.
Whoa.
Was this game developed in Japan?
No. Sorry, I hesitated. That's a definite hard no.
Do we ask anything about first party or anything?
No, but it wasn't made in
Japan. So that
Yeah, that would've been
eliminates a lot of- Yeah.
Super Nintendo
We don't
game.
know. We don't know it's exclusive to Super Nintendo.
Not a license.
The way I phrased it is this? Did this game appear on Super Nintendo?
Did this have 2-player?
Yes. That's 10.
10. Should we dive into genre a little bit more? I mean, there's fighters
do whatever you
and
want, man.
sports.
We have the questions.
Would this? Well, let me find it. Is this a fight?
Both those things we could discount by asking, could you compete with a friend in this game?
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty vague still.
There wasn't.
But you would discount all fighting and sports games instead of asking them individually.
well, but there's not a ton of co-op though. So the
Yeah.
answer is like probably yes.
no, but there's exchange
Yeah, but-
controller games. That's
Yeah,
true.
But we eliminated platformers.
Yeah, you do that a lot in platformers.
I think you can ask whatever you want.
Yeah, I think the fighting game's still relevant because it was only.
Sure, guys.
Is this a fighting game?
No.
Eliminates a lot.
Is this game in a contemporary collection of games?
No.
That eliminates a lot of dang
It really
games.
does. Super Nintendo, not a fighter or platformer.
Could be sports.
Yeah, it could be sports.
Could be
It'd be really
racing.
weird if it was, but I love it.
If it was sports, there's still a lot of big sports games that were on the NES.
Not made in Japan, so it's not even like like Mario Kart, something like that.
You know, there's a lot of EA games.
Remember,
NBA
it was
Jam.
on Super Nintendo. It doesn't mean it was only on
Did
Super
this game
Nintendo.
appear?
It sounds like it was everything.
Yeah.
At the time it was released, did this game appear on consoles other than the Super Nintendo?
Well, we actually know that from elimination.
How do we know that?
Because when I asked if it was a 16-bit game, he said, yes, it appears on a 16-bit console.
Right, but it could. Well, so then I wonder if it's also maybe arcade even.
I don't understand what's going on. Oh, how does
So,
that eliminate?
Yeah,
Because he kind of hesitated, and it seemed to imply that it was on a bunch of different systems.
yeah. Well,
But
could
it
be-
was also on Super Nintendo.
That's a level of metagaming I'm unwilling to engage in.
All right, fine. You asked a question. Was this on other consoles?
Yes.
I'm
it's a-
wondering.
It's a multi-platform. Yeah. So I gotta stop. I gotta get Super Nintendo out of my head. It was on other stuff too. Could be Madden NFL.
Yeah, but it would be like NHL or something 94 that we actually. Why are we talking about sports games? There's so many other genres out there.
But that's what I mean. What were super popular though? On
Do you
SNES?
fight stuff in this game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking is it like side
Hella-
scroll
So
beat
it
'em up?
sounds like a side scroller.
Yeah, like
or
Hella fighting.
like TMNT.
maybe it's just Final Fight.
Could be Final Fight.
Could be
No,
Final
that's
Fight.
Japan.
Oh right, right.
That's something like a bad version of Final Fight.
Right.
It was
Like Battletoads
I know
versus
Streets of
Double
Rage
Dragon.
was Sega, but it was
right.
like, was it like, did Sega of America make that? I don't know what team made that.
So many of those brawlers are.
Also not on Super Nintendo.
Oh, there's we could ask if it's a mascot game. I know platformers kind of fall into that though, huh?
Yeah, you could. That's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good
Like
one.
I would call Boogerman and Earthworm Jim and stuff platformers.
I would too.
And-
And they're not multiplayer.
Yeah. Multiplayer, you fight a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's it doesn't should we ask if it's a brawler?
Could be Mutant League Football.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean we haven't isolated sports.
I don't know if that's a Super
or,
Nintendo game, but
Yeah.
Good point.
is this a brawler?
Yes. But that's 15.
Time's running out in Cobra Triangle. Deposit all the dudes into the life jacket area.
Get the thing to the goal. Don't let that other boat touch you.
Don't let your boat. It's your boat going down.
What do you think a non-Japanese brawler could possibly be?
Dude.
What is? I mean, rare. No, but was Battletoads?
Everything's Capcom. Everything.
Battletoads.
Battletoads and Double
I
Dragon.
mentioned that already. It's Trade West or it
was Trade West.
Rare made
Rare.
those though.
Yeah.
So and I did mention Battletoads Double Dragon, and I was thinking of it as a Japanese game though. So that's true.
Yeah.
Is this a Rare game?
Yes.
Do you play as a toad?
You can.
Yeah.
Do you play as?
We don't have this many questions to mess around with.
But I know, but there's 2 or 3 more, and there's only 3 games on the NES.
There's 2 more. You can see his fingers in front of you.
No, I'm saying, but yeah, we.
Wait. So it's SNES, and the original Battletoads was NES.
Yeah, it's
but Battletoads Double Dragon was 16-bit.
Right.
That's right.
There's Battletoads and
And on
Battle
NES.
Maniacs.
It was also an NES. That's,
And then there was-
that's where his
yes.
stickiness comes from.
So it's got to be then.
It's
Double
Battletoads
Tra-
versus Double Dragon.
It's got to be Battletoads and Double. So let's use a hack.
Okay.
Did
Let's
we
not.
mention this?
Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's ask. Can you play as Bimmy or Jimmy in this game?
You can.
Okay, there
Is
you
this
go.
Battletoads versus Double Dragon?
Yeah. Battletoads. Is it versus Double Dragon or and Double Dragon?
No one knows.
I think it's Battletoads and Double Dragon.
And
Yeah.
Double Dragon.
I thought it was. Did I say verse? I thought it was verse.
I said versus, but I also said and.
That is a great game on SNES.
yeah, and it was also on NES, like you said, and on
was.
Sega Genesis.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
on Game Boy.
Yeah.
That was the
The
greatest.
Game Boy one's the one to play.
I think Endgame should move over and crown the true crown for greatest crossover event of all time.
Battletoads and Double
so
Dragon.
good.
It's amazing that happened.
It is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. And then, like, Rare developed it, but Trade West published it. And is Trade West Japanese? I don't even know.
I can't remember.
No, it's British.
They're British. Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So when I first came to IGN, remember I almost
You're thinking
beat
of Data East.
I almost beat the original Battletoads NES. I can basically get right up to the Queen without Game Genie.
You can get through that snake level.
Yeah, and get to the snake level. Yeah, you take the warp right out of there into Klinger Winger and a bunch
You
of other
just can't do
stages.
that with
Klinger
friends.
Winger.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, Klinger Winger. And then that game came out for, I loved it for NES and Super NES. It's got one of the best soundtracks that I can remember on Super Nintendo. It's really, really good.
I can, and I have, but it's so hard for me just to beat the first dodging cement pylons level.
Oh, yeah.
So hard.
That's where everybody dies there, and then you make it through there 5% of the time, and then die immediately after.
Yeah, but you got to take the warp. There's like a warp on the 10th one and later on.
It is the best pause music.
Oh, why don't more games have pause music?
Oh, it's so good. That the music in that game was actually really good as well.
Oh, it's great.
The NES one.
And a lot of like
I'm gonna show you the stage that was my favorite music in that game. That's so good.
Cool.
That's really good.
All right.
Well, the healing powers of 20 questions, I think they've worked. I'm happy about that. But
whacked himself in the
CJ's
face.
taken a deadly injury.
Where'd that thing come
A
from?
mortal injury.
Man down.
Thank you for the suggestion, Chad Gregoire,
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Nice. I played that game so much. Love that
Listeners,
game.
if you have your own suggestions, email them to me at gamescoop@ign.com. I only ask that they not be too obscure. Body Harvest is okay. That level of obscurity is
If they are obscure, he just gives them to me across our desk.
Yeah, that's true. We have a long weekend here in San Francisco, so if you do as well, enjoy the long weekend, play some games. That is all the scoops we have for you this week. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, man.
Damon.
My name is Damon. This is IGN Game Scoop, and we're out.